it's a welcome surprise for me, this epithet that I got today. But yeah, I would say, it would obviously be a delight for anybody to hear this. Thanks for that. So great. Can I share my screen? I'm just.
Yes, absolutely you can.
Let me see.
You could just go onto the share screen and go ahead and do that.
Yeah, let me do that. Okay, can you guys see my screen right now? Perfect. Thank you, and good afternoon. Warm welcome to all the dear students. I think as you have heard from Abdullah, I've kind of spent quite some time in this industry. I'm an MBA and an engineer. Have gone through a lot of roles across in life, in my career rather, to kind of come to this particular stage. So what I'll try and do today, I will try to express a bit of that experience that I have. When I was passing out from college as a class 12th, of course, times were very different at that time, then. At times I feel myself to be quite prehistoric, like a dinosaur. The world has changed. The options are enormous today. And I am so elated, excited, and happy that we have so many options to choose from, right? But before I get into this, let me take you through something like this. I'm pretty sure that you're all aware that this is what our world looks like today. I'm not sure if any of you have recently had a chance to get inside an aeroplane, but this is what it is. Of course, people cannot talk to each other. It seems that everybody's cocooned in their own world. The question is, will the world continue to be like this, or will it change, right? But when the world changes, will we all continue to be like this? Will we be caught sleeping, napping, right? Because today, the rate of change in the world is so huge that, whatever you do, unless you are completely in the forefront of it all, you may miss the boat, you may miss the bus, right? So the assumption out here would be that once we are through with this, we are not caught napping like this. How many of you would have seen this? And by the way, this is quite common today, right? So this is something that has been going around in WhatsApp, but it's actually a true story. You can see that there is a bridge. And the first question that I asked was, am I seeing this right? Is the bridge built over what? Over sand, whereas the river is to the side. What is the purpose of even building this bridge? Really? That was the first question that I asked. Then I read the story. The story clearly says that. So by the way, this is a place in Honduras in Central America, right? It's a pretty convoluted name of the place, so I'm not kind of going out there. But this place is actually host to a lot of storms, a lot of hurricanes, and basically a lot of natural disasters. So a Japanese firm was kind of contracted to build a bridge which can withstand this entire storm, right? Something like our careers. We say that build something which can withstand the entire storm, right? The COVID-19 and maybe other pandemics. So we don't know what's really going to happen. So they built the bridge. This was 1996, right? They actually built the bridge in another year or so. In 1998, there was a huge hurricane So what happened, because of which about 7,000 people died and all of that happened. But what happened was there were connecting roads to this bridge, which actually got completely swept away. So in this picture, what you see just a piece of bridge with no connectors at all, right? And then the river, which was actually the bridge was built on top of the river, but the river shifted its course. And then now the bridge was standing useless on top of sand, which nobody needed. So the epithet out here is basically teaching us that whenever we think about our careers, right? I mean, earlier, at least I remember, during my days, there were some very set career options. You could probably become a doctor. You could probably become an engineer, if I remember correctly. I chose to become an engineer for probably maybe no other choice at that point in time. But the world is so dynamic right now. It is changing so fast. And incidents like the current pandemic, which is just one of the incidents, and there would be many incidents that have happened in the recent past, and you will see a lot of incidents, which will come up in the future. The question is, are we very fixated in our career options? Are we fixed in terms of the way we think? Or are we flexible enough to allow our careers to be, agile and picking up the best and kind of readjusting our priorities and our job roles, what we do, rethinking, reinventing ourselves from time to time. And the time to time is not in years. The time to time has kind of changed. It's now probably in months, right? That is the shift in mindset. And I'm pretty sure you, as the millennial generation, understand that. But I just wanted to underscore that particular fact, that it's extremely important for us to look at career options from the point of view of a bit of breadth and not get into too much of the specifics. There was a point in time in this world when we talked about specialization. And as much as specialization is great, it actually gives us a lot to play with in our careers. But we also need to straddle the entire game. We need to understand the overall game plan. We need to understand the overall strategy, right? That is kind of coming across, in the world, the changes that are coming, and we have to be agile. So agile is a word that you're going to hear a lot in the industry, right? We have to be agile and nimble-footed to change ourselves, not the core values. You cannot change the core values, but to meander in ourselves into new and newer opportunities and areas as you progress in your career. So let me give you one quick example. You would have heard that, I'm an engineer and an MBA. So the moment you hear the term MBA, you think of very specific, career options. Well, I did my MBA. I joined as a management trainee in a firm. I didn't like it. I then went and joined advertising. Well, things kind of worked. And then I went and joined market research, right? So, and I spent about 3 to 4 years in market research. Now, I had changed a lot, in the first 4 to 5 years of my career. And then to top it all, I joined a company like American Express, which was completely financial services. There I did a plethora of roles. I did project management, program management, I did consulting, right? Many of these will not seem very linked to each other. And, there was a point in time when I started thinking, am I really shifting too much? Am I kind of going against the grain that a rolling stone gathers no moss? But, think again. My growth in my career, what they say was a corkscrew growth, right? You keep on moving slowly and slowly like this because you are attracting learnings and experiences from multiple areas. And when actually I came back to India in 2008 from the US, I figured out that all of these different kinds of roles, the flexibility that I had shown initially, I may not have grown vertically that fast, but all of the experiences kind of came together and helped me tremendously in the leadership roles that I would then play from there on, right? And till today, that experience has helped me a lot. And I keep on accumulating newer and newer experiences. And many a times, I don't question, I mean, is this something that's going to directly apply in my line of work? Because many a times, what we feel does not apply in a line of work actually is not true. You will see that it applies in some shape or another. So moving on, let's talk about, what you are probably come here today, in Edufair. Many of you would be questioning, are there careers which are recession proof and which are trending? And by the way, these need not always be the same. Some careers which probably were trending earlier, post this pandemic, one might find that some of them may not really have a lot of ground to hold. But there are some careers which are so grounded in the fundamentals of our society and the fundamentals of business that they are not only trending earlier, they're trending even today. In fact, some of them even more so during the time of the pandemic. So we call them recession proof as well as trending both. Cybersecurity is an extremely important example. Of course, we are all on Zoom today, but you have heard about some of the security threats that Zoom provides, right? Or not provides, I'm sorry, a choice of a bad term, but the security threats that Zoom brings to the table. So because of this, most companies across the world have now really woken up, right? And are alert to how can I improve my cyber security profile. So it is not only a case of Zoom. It is also a case of the fact that post this pandemic or even during the pandemic, all of us, we are working from home. That brings in its own set of security threats, right? So how can we counter that? Cybersecurity is coming up to be a very, very, it was, and it has become an even more important career choices of today. Risk analyst, of course, risk is an extremely important element of any job. Unless you can identify the risks in any profession or in any business, you cannot grow a business because you always, as they say, you have to take calculated risks. Now, you can only calculate what you can measure. And these measurements are kind of brought in by the risk analysts, right? IoT professionals, IoT, the Internet of Things, any and everything today is IoT. You would be surprised to know that the refrigerator which you have in your house is actually an IoT, right? The television set that you have in your drawing room is an IoT, because what does IoT do? It is actually capturing information or data. The television is capturing information around your viewership preferences, right? How long are you watching, let's say, Z5? How long are you watching a particular serial, a particular genre? And all of that information is kind of then stored somewhere else, right? And the information then can be mined to provide a lot of great insights. And insights is what the world is now continuing to run on and is running on and will continue to run on in the future, right? So IoT is an extremely important career choice. Cloud, why is it important? So IoT captures the data, but you can capture as much data as you want, unless will become useless.
I think, yes, he's back. Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Anindya, we can hear you well. Yes.
So I'm not sure where you lost me, but I was just talking about the cloud. So you can access a lot of data, but unless and until you know how to store it, how to massage it, right? It's all useless. Just a tidbit for you. Artificial intelligence is not today's phenomenon. AI existed even in the 70s, in the 80s, but it did not take off at that point in time because artificial intelligence requires a lot of use of unstructured data, right? What is unstructured data? All of these selfies that we take, right? It's unstructured data. All of the images, the videos, the audios, everything is unstructured data, right? The language, the text that we write, all of it is unstructured data. These cannot be put down in the form of, in a tabular format, which is structured, right? Storing, massaging, using unstructured data was the biggest problem in the world in the 80s, because big data technologies had not arrived at that point in time. For example, technologies like Hadoop and all that you keep hearing about were not there. So AI could not even come up. Now, we have those technologies today, but unless and until you have the physical infrastructure, and unless until you can distribute all of that, it will not work. And cloud has become one of the biggest career options today for a lot of people, because it is one of the things that's going to really thrive as we go forward. Without IoT, without cloud, you probably would not be able to do artificial intelligence. Yes, you can build some great algorithms, but the algorithms cannot run, and again, algorithms are as good as the amount of data on which you build. So, you would have probably read in your schools, and I know these were things that we did not learn about when we were in school, but I'm so happy that they teach you in schools nowadays. The models, the AI models that you build are as good as the overall data on which they are built, right? You put in junk, you put in garbage, you use inadequate or insufficient data, the models will not make sense. You cannot even validate the models. And you cannot build models on that level of data. You cannot productionalize or you cannot commercialize such systems unless you have the cloud services, unless you have IoTs, so unless you have the cybersecurity, right? So in a way, all of these professions or career choices are very, very linked to each other. You cannot think of one without the other. So I would want you to think about that point. These are not standalone. These are not linked. These are actually very much linked to each other. So let's look at this. Where do you think, right? In fact, I used to ask this question myself. I would say, if I'm a language expert, right? If I'm a translator, for example, an English to German translator or a English to French translator, right? I am a language expert. What kind of career option do I have? If I'm a counselor, if I'm a psychology expert, what kind of option do I have? So I probably will have to keep on, just doing counseling throughout my life. Or if it's clinical psychology, does it have to be, I probably, I'm a clinical psychologist with NASA or with ISRO. Are these the kind of, career options that I have? If I'm a user experience professional, user experience, people who design systems which are great to use. For example, the iPhone that you use today is the result of user experience over years of UX professionals, right? Who have brought it to life. So, these things do not come to life, all of a sudden. Visual recognition. We used to think that these professions or these career choices are very distant. They apply in completely, different fields. But think again, over the last 2 to 3 years, we have come to see, and I have personally seen that myself, how a lot of these roles are actually being used in AI and data science. How? So for example, I want to build some great models, and the model is not on structured data. The model is on some natural language. So let's say there is a particular Twitter feed that I pick up, or Facebook doesn't provide the feeds for free, but then let's say I get access to some other social media feed. Now, how do I even interpret that language? Because language can have multiple meanings. The same, think about it. If I say something like, wow, that was a great service. When I say this, it can have multiple meanings. It can mean, wow, that was a great service. which means it was a great service. Wow, that was a great service. Means it's a lousy service, right? So based on tone, based on emotion, based on how you use words, wordplay, the meaning the meaning changes, even though the language, can be the same. You need a lot of these language experts to analyze, such huge amounts of text to make sense, and then build models which actually cater to insights which are really meaningful. Counselors and psychology, why are they important? And why they're important AI, for that matter? So the example that I just took, right? A matter of human emotion. Until I understand how human emotions play a role, let's say in some video grab or it's in an image, I'm shown the image of a person, right? Face detection. And from the face, I have to actually start saying, okay, can I really figure out some characteristics of this person just by looking at the face, right? And by the way, a lot of the profiling that is done in airports is actually using such kind of skill sets. Airports, railway stations, and of course, this has become more and more important in today's world. But who will provide the base reference that, okay, if a face looks like this, right, then these are the characteristics of the person. How can you even say that? Unless and until you have your psychologists, you have your counselors who are there sitting in the back room trying to put insights, right, or meaning out of the data. So user experience. Again, a user experience person has to really understand how humans use tools, use machines. So I might build a great machine learning algorithm, right, which is excellent. But unless and until I put it down into a tool or a machine which is very easy to use, there is no way there will be acceptability of that particular system. Let's take an example. Let's say tomorrow you go to a bank ATM, right, to withdraw money. ATMs today, of course, they use business rules, but let's say in tomorrow's world, they use artificial intelligence. You talk to the machine and the machine knows exactly what needs to be done. And by the way, as you talk to the machine can also suggest to you, by the way, we also have this service available. Do you want it? Right? Because the machine is reading all your information, and which of course somebody has programmed in. But unless it is very easy to use, it could be a great concept. I will not go and use it. That is where UX professionals who make these designs so appealing and enticing to us humans become so important. And similar in the case of the visual recognition expertise. So the objective of this is to kind of open up your mind and do not cocoon yourself. Do not narrow your choice of options to only I have to be a programmer, or I have to build models. No, it is very broad. It is broader. It's broader than that. And many a times this is a question which is asked to me: do I have to be a technical specialist? Do I have to be deep in technology to be in this field of AI? And I say, absolutely not. There are roles and there are multiple roles. Yes, there is a huge amount of requirement for deep-ended technology specialists, because they are the ones who build the models. But then unless and until you have people like the language experts, people like the psychology experts, people like the user interface or experience experts. By the way, they're also dependent into technology. But until you have such people, your technology folks cannot build strong and robust models. So all of it has to come together in the world of tomorrow to build systems, to build an ecosystem that enables us humans to do more and more, right? That's the thought. Now, I will leave you with this, and I will not get into too much of detail around the depths of each of these career options, but these are some technology career options, and you will see one of them is not a very technology option like the business analyst. So let's talk about that, right? Many of you would have heard these terms, very, very pertinent in the industry, like the data analysts, the engineers. Machine learning is a term that you've used a lot, but then it's very difficult for you to figure out, okay, what is the difference between a machine learning engineer and a data scientist? Don't they do the same thing? What is the difference between a data scientist and a statistician? Again, don't they do the same thing, right? Business analyst and data analyst, are they the same? Are they different? How can I kind of, get into these areas? So let's look at that. And these are some just representative tools and technologies, which I've put down here. But then these are not exhaustive. They are some of the more popular ones in the world today. Data analysts, right? Who are data analysts? And as you are hearing this, in your mind, think through what are the subjects that you love? Are you a maths freak? Are you do you want to take computer science or no? Or do you want to just become an engineer, but maybe not a computer science engineer, right? Do you want to play more with numbers, like to build models, or do you want to play more with numbers to build systems, right? When I say systems, large scale data systems, right? In many cases, you will find that there are subtle differences in tuning in your mind that will take you through these individual career paths. But remember one thing, and that is extremely important. As it's important to specialize in one of these areas, it's equally important to broaden your knowledge and horizon across all of these, because a machine learning engineer cannot exist in isolation and not have the data scientist around him or her, not have the business analyst around him or her. What does the business analyst do? The business analyst understands every industry or domain. Could be retail, could be consumer packaged goods, could be oil and gas. Unless you understand the industry, until you understand how the functions within the industry work, like HR, like finance, procurement. How would I even, as they say in the terminology that we use today, build a use case? What is the problem that I want to solve? Unless and until I can get that problem down to the nth level of detail, which is what the business analyst role is, the data scientist or the statistician is going to build a model which is not the correct model, because it will not solve your problem, because you have probably not been able to really pinpoint what the problem is. So the business analyst has got a very, very important role. Now, after the business analyst has done his or her job, let's talk about the data analyst. You can have somebody who has done a great job in business analysis, but then you have to understand what are the various data sources that are available, the types of data that are available. And if you do not understand that, you do not understand how fast the data is coming in, what kind of data is coming in, what kind of data is available for, for the analysis, right? Is there unstructured data, structured data? You will not be able to feed that into your statistician, who can then build the models, because the models that you build, as I said earlier, are as good as the data on which they are built. Now, you may have the best of data, all the fields, all the columns, all text, all video, everything available with you, but you do not know how to manage that, manage their storage, because you have all heard about the various V's, the 3 or 4 V's as they call it: volume, huge volumes of data; velocity. Today, the data I have right now, within a second, the data is changing because there are newer transactions that are coming in, new data coming in. So the very high velocity, right? Then there is veracity, right? So there are multiple dimensions of data. So unless and until you really manage them, my data analyst's job will kind of become futile, because I need big data engineers who will be able to manage the data, who will be able to allow me to do parallel processing of the data so that the models can be built and can run efficiently, right? So even if you can build a great model, unless until it runs, nothing will work. The models will there will be runtime errors. So you cannot get the best of insights from these models, right? So net, all of these career options, right? And you can, pick up, choose any of these. The first five are technology heavy options. The sixth option is more the business heavy options. All of them are equally important. They lead towards the building of the AI ecosystems that we see and that we will continue to see the world over in the future, right? Um, I mean, for example, the question, if it comes, how do you know what you are suited for, right? I would say that a love for, I mean, especially if you're going for these technology career options, please bear in mind that you need to have a love for numbers, right? You need to love mathematics, because mathematics is one of the key areas or subjects that can really tell you that, yes, if I love mathematics, then I know that, I will be in one of these fields, and I'll be happy in one of these fields throughout my career. Be very clear about it, very, very clear. A career spans about 33, 35, whatever number of years, right? So you need to be happy with what you are doing. Do not do something just because it's the in thing or it's trending. You have to ask yourself the question, do I, and again, there is no hard and fast rule that, I have to love mathematics. And you know what, I can tell you this. My daughter, right, and she just, has gone into the ninth standard, and she wants to become a clinical psychologist, right? So for her, mathematics is not a big love, right? She doesn't see that, but she understands the basics. She understands enough for her to kind of, pick up a career option which builds on that, but is not dependent on that, totally, right? So for her, there is no point in even kind of looking at some of these career options. For her, rather, I would say she would probably get into the area of, let's say, counseling or clinical psychology, through which, again, if you want, you can come into the field of AI, right? You don't have to be always technology, specific to come out here. But at the same time, if you love mathematics, right, and if you want to pursue computer science, then these are some of the areas that we are seeing in our experience, which you can pick up. These are some of the trending careers. They will stay post the pandemic. They will continue to grow. There are newer and newer technologies that are coming up. So quantum computing, for example, edge computing, 5G, a lot of these things, quantum computing, for example, I work with IBM, and we are working on a lot of research on quantum computing. It is the next generation, which is going to come up. And again, mathematics becomes a key backbone out there. But do not lose sight of the overall picture. It is not only technology, it is not only mathematics. There are many other disciplines which flow in. There are many other career choices that can bring you into the field of AI and data science. So I wanted to restrict my talk today mostly on AI and data science. I will not get into any of the other fields. So I hope that you found this useful. And if there are any questions, I could probably take them now.
Yes, in fact, Anindya, there are loads and loads of questions here that we are able to see on the chat box. But then, yes, you have already addressed quite a few. There are a lot of students, in fact, who have in fact asked about the streamline, whether having biology or biotechnology, if they can actually opt for, analytics as well.
Sorry, having biotechnology, if you can opt for analytics.
That's right. That's right. That's right, Anindya.
Yeah. So absolutely yes, absolutely yes, and I will tell you how. So I will take some examples. I work very predominantly in the field of healthcare and life sciences. Okay, and I am involved in building a lot of these healthcare systems, which require a lot of knowledge of biotech to be integrated into the various healthcare models that we build, right? There are models that we build, for example, predictions about the human health, you know, predictions based on comorbidities. Uh, Many such examples, many such use cases come up in the industry today, which require either bio knowledge or biotechnology knowledge, right? Now, these skills may not be the hardcore technology skills. The biotechnologists may not be building the models, but they definitely feed a lot of the inputs and information to build those models for healthcare and life sciences. So I would say yes, absolutely. There is scope for biotechnologists in this field.
I think that will be good enough from here, and there would be a lot of many questions I'm sure that will be coming, and we definitely would be discussing with that, with you, Anindu, and we'll be getting back to the students through our Edugai team itself, because there's so many questions which are in fact lined up on this particular topic today. So on that thought, thank you so much, Anindu, for being here today and talking to all our students. I'm sure, this has been a very, very, you can say, top-notch career option that a lot of students are actually aiming for, and the questions define that and prove that so much. So thank you so much for your time, and for the entire team of Edugai and Edufair 3.0, thank you very much, and hope to see you all very, very soon again. Thank you so much, Anindu. Have a great day ahead.
And in closing, I love this interaction. I would have loved it if it was face to face, heard the questions and answered you, on the spot. Of course, we cannot do it right now. I hope to do it in the, sometime in the future. And all the best to all of you as you move through your life and, move from 12th into college and undergraduation, graduation. You would have heard that the education policy changes that have been put into place. And I think it's a very exciting times. Please take complete advantage of that. I'm personally, very excited. I would have loved to be in school, in a time like this. With that, thank you again.
Thank you so much, Anindu. Have a great day ahead. Thank you very much.
Bye.